Hey everybody, welcome back to the LuckyDog podcast. This is your host, Elias Roush. This podcast is sponsored by EliasRoushMedia.com, photo, video, digital media production. Today we are discussing the season finale of The Legend of Korra, Season 3. So, I wanted to get my thoughts and feelings out on this amazing television show. I've said it since Avatar, The Last Airbender, the first season. It just continuously impresses me. They continuously push the bounds of what you can do in animation, the storytelling that you can do. I think that I've come to the realization that before watching Avatar and The Legend of Korra, I almost most certainly had some sort of kind of like a stigma against like a small stigma against animation, mostly animated television shows, thinking that they're strictly for kids and kids only. Not like families, but like kids only. The thing is, if you think back to like all the Disney properties that you can think of, when you're thinking about Toy Story, you're thinking about Lion King, those have surpassed becoming just animated properties for kids or just for families. They have surpassed the paradigm of just being a movie. They've become cultural icons in a way, and so I think there is somewhat of a stigma of being a kids television show, meaning that it's going to be less than. So what I'm saying is, when people were thinking about animated stuff from back in the day, you're like, all right, so it's probably for kids, but not exactly. If you think about how many adults enjoyed all of the Disney properties and stuff like that, I think that this kind of falls under that category of being better than most television shows, better than most a chunk of kids animated movies and non-animated kids movies, just animated movies in general. This is some of the best stuff I've ever seen. From the choreography, the choreography, from the story, from the writing, from the direction, from all of the characters, especially this season, it bumped it up a notch just like that. Season 1, excellent start to Korra. Season 2, continued the world. It jumped into the spirit world in a way that didn't exactly relate to everybody, but I think that in the way that they left Season 2 brought Season 3 even back with that much more oomph. And so, with saying all that, Season 3 absolutely delivered the goods. I felt the emotional pulls. I felt all of the dramatic beats. I thought they had split seconds of comedy with Bolin that really worked. I was just bowled over. I was actually cooking watching one of the last few episodes and about burned my shit because I was like, God, ah! I was like losing my shit watching, paying too much attention to the damn show, and I was just like, this is amazing. And from the sound design, from the look, absolutely digging this show, and which is why I have to get my feelings out on the television show before I jump into the next one. Next season is what I mean, because I want to be in this world again, which I think I said in oh, look at that, look at this stupid hair, which is kind of unfortunate the more I think about it, when it comes down to like Netflix not bringing back the original creators. Like these guys are fucking phenomenal. I was bowled over multiple times in this season by just the level of maturity they have throughout this, from the backstories of Lin Bei Fong and the Metal Clan. Absolutely thought it was amazing. I had heard that this season was going to be much more Airbender kind of quote unquote based, and I absolutely agree with it. It needed the Airbender feel. It was kind of going toward in a different direction that didn't felt a little bit more muddled. This season's bringing back some of the biggest characters that I call it like the ancestral characters that we have from the last Avatar. We references to Katara, Sokka, Toph, Aang, all of our favorite characters from the original Airbender series. And so, having said all that, it is an absolutely phenomenal series. Let me pull up some additional content that we are going to discuss for season 3. So we already did cover the first 2 episodes of The Legend of Korra. I don't really want to go into episode by episode because this feels like it does feel like an extended movie, 13-part movie. That I definitely think we don't need to go through the whole thing episode by episode. It's fucking good. What do you want me to say? Let me see. Alright, so yeah, chapter 1, 2, covered all that. We jumped into chapter 3. That's where we really learn about what's going on at Ba Sing Se, sketchiness. I always love some sketchy political intrigue, which is something that this show really hammers on. I remember it in The Last Airbender as well. Just phenomenal at making you feel uneasy in some of these places, these cities that are supposed to be run well and efficiently and legally, but there's always some sketchiness happening behind the scenes. Turns out in this season there is I think it's the Earth Queen, I believe. The Earth Queen is essentially taking all of these airbenders, and one of them being the new character Kai. He's kind of like this little Aladdin-esque character running around stealing shit, and he ends up being an airbender as well because of the airbending harmonic convergence thing happening and everybody getting random airbending abilities. That was essentially what happened. Queen's rounding up all of the airbenders and having them serve under her, and so that leads to everybody having to save the airbenders kind of thing, and then Tenzin having to take the airbenders and liberate them kind of thing. Really liked it. Tenzin had a hell of a season. I will say that season 2, my problem with Tenzin's character and all of Aang's kids, I felt like they didn't know what to do with those characters, and so they were just kind of trying to come up with like emotional plot points and beats to kind of really have them, in not in harm's way, but to be part of the plot in season 2. So season 3, having them actually do things, having Boomy even discover having airbending is one of the most enjoyable parts and aspects of this season. And honestly, Boomy and Kaya and Tenzin have become like some of my favorite characters in the airbending universe because of their interactions in the last 2 seasons. So yeah, let me see what else we got on here. The Metal Clan, that was chapter 5. That's where we met Suyin Beifong, Lin Beifong's estranged half-sister and mother of Opal, the new airbender there. We get some amazing backstory with Toph's daughters. I thought Toph's daughters, Suyin and Lin, have, I think it's maybe 2 or 3 episodes that really are tackling what's going on with Lin's problem, Lin's problem with Suyin. Suyin was a piece of shit when she was younger. She was running around, committing crimes, doing terrible things with bad guys, being a nuisance, and Lin was trying to keep her out of trouble essentially. But Toph, being the leader of Republic City's police force, has to kind of, cater to her daughters, and so she's not going to punish her daughters like she would otherwise. And so we find out that Toph had to step down because of Su Yin's behavior, and possibly the fact that there was backlash on how Toph was running the city. I thought there's just so much mature storytelling happening during this especially. I can't remember the last time I've ever seen an animated television show where they mentioned that they have a half or stepsister. I was just like, wow, that is extremely bold. And given I have step siblings, and I consider my brother just like my my real blood brother, so I can totally understand you know non-traditional non-traditional families in a way. But yeah, we see the backstory with what happened to Toph in a way. Apparently, she's still alive. We don't see her throughout this entire season, with the exception of backstory. She's apparently traveling the world. Kind of cool, teaching people metal bending and earth bending away. She becomes just like, I don't know, like this symbol for the metal benders away in a way. I don't know. Su Yin was an interesting character, kind of like blissfully ignorant to the rest of the world, kind of like, got an architect husband, got her son doing all the work, she's not exactly, I don't know, it seems like she's a little bit blissful to the dangers of the world in a way. And then, of course, we find out what happened to Lin's face, and it was from Su Yin being arrested by one of those, metal bending wires or something like that. She had it on her wrist from her sister, and Su Yin goes around, cuts that thing off, and it comes back and slaps Lin directly in the side of the face. And we found out where her scars are from. I think that was one of the most interesting backstories in a way. And it's not like I kind of remember them doing this type of storytelling in Lost a little bit. Like they'd say, all right, what is it? Jack has a tattoo. Let's do a whole episode on the tattoo. It's like, first of all, that was 45 minutes is a little excessive on one, scar on somebody. It's not that interesting. But there was this big, there's this curiosity of why Lin doesn't like going to the Metal Clan. And so there's the way they unravel the mystery is so much better than just saying, all right, this one character has a interesting flaw, or an interesting aspect about them. Let's find out how they they became that way. I think they have the slow reveal in this that works a lot better. And of course, we have the really amazing fight between Lin and Su Yin. I do feel like I think she gets like bonked on the head. Lin gets bonked on the head, and kind of like, it's like okay all of a sudden. It feels like it's a leap in logic a little bit, but I do feel like they might need to have had a little bit more of a conversation about, what why you've been causing so much, why Su Yin's been causing so much stress to Lin this entire time. So let's continue on. We got the continuation of the the Red Lotus, and they are. Let me see. White Lotus overthrow governments. Okay, so Zahir throws away into the fog of lost souls, explains the goals of his secret society, the Red Lotus, to Korra, an offshoot of the Order of the White Lotus, which apparently the Red Lotus is apparently a real thing. I'm still learning about it. They want to overthrow governments in service of the ideological belief that chaos is the natural state of the world. While Zahir stalls for time, his allies close in on Korra's inanimate body, Bolin and Mako are overpowered while Asami, fleeing with Naga with Korra's body, is captured by the Earth Queen's forces. The Red Lotus follows in pursuit. These guys are fucking ruthless. I was in shock about how bad. Well, bad. They were badass, but a couple of scenes earlier, I felt like I was like, "Whoa!" The team has the entire Red Lotus all in backed up in a corner, and I think this was like episode like 7 or 8 when they were kind of backed up, trying to. I think they're trying to make an escape, but the fact is they seem underpowered at first, and then they go to straight overpowered after. But I don't know if it's because they just get like the upper hand. They don't have Korra. They don't have everybody all in the same location. When they're attacking the airbenders later in the season, and attacking Tenzin, oh my god, I was like, they are going to fucking kill this guy. It literally, they beat the shit out of Tenzin. There's like whoosh, 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 using all the different elements, and then the one scene that just is horrifying. I think it happens in let me see. I think it happens in like 11 or something like that. Oh no, sorry. Chapter 10. En route to Ba Sing Se, Korra and Asami escape from their cell. Oh, and I forgot that entire... They Hannibal Lecter Korra in this season. I was like, this is excessive. This is turned in from a kid's cartoon, kid's animated television show, to some real high-level shit at this point. Korra and Asami escape from their cell, but crash land the airship in the desert. Working with the airship's crew, they escape a massive desert animal and arrive back at the oasis. This episode did kind of feel a little bit like a filler of an episode, just kind of like, all right, it almost felt like one of the airbending episodes when they got stuck somewhere and they had to fix something and help people to get out of a place or something. It's kind of a traditional airbending episode. In Ba Sing Se, the Red Lotus proposed to exchange Mako and Bolin for Korra to the Earth Queen. After hearing of Korra's escape, they attack and defeat the Dali, and Zahir uses his airbending to asphyxiate the Earth Queen to death. Now, we've seen numerous takes on the airbending and what exactly can be done with it. We've seen numerous takes on we've seen numerous takes on waterbending. We've seen multiple takes on firebending. We've seen multiple takes on earthbending. Everything seems to have some sort of external element they can control past that. Now, airbending's kind of like this one where it's like, all right, well, how does airbending work a little bit? Because, pretty much everything's made out of water in a way. You can absorb water from things. Earth is just about everywhere, I guess. Just about everywhere. Fire, and they just kind of like bring fire out of thin air. So, air's kind of like a different element that they have to work with. And this season, instead of bringing something scary as hell like the blood bending back, they go a little bit further and they just say, instead of pushing air, moving air, what about like removing air? And so they remove the oxygen from the Earth Queen's lungs, and you can just see it coming out of her mouth, and it's like floating around and around her head. It's like this little dome that goes around her head, and it is pulling all of the air out of her lungs. Absolutely horrifying death. I think that asphyxiation has got to be one of the scariest ways to go. But in an animated television show, when they're talking about airbending, it's like that is the last thing I thought that they were going to do. And they went there. They essentially showed her choking to death and then go to the next scene. Done. I was like, what? Rest in peace, the Earth Queen? I was like, this is insane. What, this fucking fly. I'm going to fucking flip this shit. There's a fucking fly I'm trying to kill in here. I'm pissing me off. But the fucking Earth Queen, dude. Guys, gals, chat, whoever. I was freaking out. I was like, did they just fucking kill the Earth Queen? And then when Bolin's like grandmother or something like that, or aunt says something about it, she's like, "Yeah, yeah, long live the queen." It's like, oh my god, she fucking died. When they said that the Earth Queen died, I was like, holy shit! I think that we might have some good guys on the list too that are a possibility. Bolin, Mako. We got when Tenzin was getting his shit rocked. I think it was the next episode. I had actually listened to a podcast that had predicted in season 2 that we were going to lose. Sorry, at the beginning of this season, they said this looks like a season we could probably lose Tenzin in. I didn't believe it until I saw the Earth Queen literally get asphyxiated, and I was like, oh my gosh, if this Zahir guy fucking does this little asphyxiation airbending tactic with Tenzin, I'm going to lose my shit. I was like, this is some real shit. I was, for better or for worse, I was gonna flip a sack. I was on pins and needles that Tenzin was not gonna make it after this episode. So yeah, it's. Let me see. I think it's chapter 11. Let's jump into chapter 11. I'll start giving y'all some synopsis so that we can talk about this a little bit better. Okay, so what do we got? Chapter 11 right here. As the inner city of Ba Sing Se is looted and razed? I don't know. And riots and fires spread throughout the outer city, Mako and Bolin escape with their family to the Misty Palms Oasis. They tell Korra that Zahir intends to kill the airbenders at the Northern Air Temple, unless she surrenders to him. After speaking to Iroh in the spirit world, shout out to Iroh jumping back in, they can't leave that character alone, but I really like just even seeing him makes me feel good. Something about that character just makes me all warm and fuzzy inside. Korra uses the Metal Clan's radio to contact Tenzin just as the Red Lotus is attacking the temple. Tenzin resists the invaders with his siblings while the other airbenders attempt to escape. After the defenders are overpowered, the Red Lotus throws Kaya and Bumi off the mountain and subdue the exhausted and badly beaten Tenzin. They beat the shit out of all of Aang's kids. I was like, Aang, I need you to come back from the spirit world, straight Avatar into this shit, go into the purple state mode. It's like, I was actually very surprised we didn't get the Avatar state in this. I think it's the first season we haven't gotten the Avatar state since, or like the true Avatar state since season. I mean, every other season I feel like all the avatars, Aang and Korra have gone into the purple state, but I guess we really might not have the connection anymore. Chapter 12, Enter the Void. Korra agrees to give herself up to the Red Lotus to save the airbenders. Kind of the same thing as, I feel like every season they're like, all right, Korra, we need you to give up so that, you save the city, save the family, save somebody. And she always does. But it never works. I don't know why. Korra agrees to give herself up to the Red Lotus to save the airbenders. But as she does so, her friends discover that Zahir has already removed the hostages from the temple. Ghazan traps Tenzin, Asami, Mako, and Bolin with lava and flees with Ming Hoi. I forgot her name. Ming. But Korra's friends escape successfully thanks to Bolin's newfound lava bending skills. So for the longest time, we keep thinking that Bolin's actually going to be a metal bender. Turns out that was a red herring. He's a lava bender. He can come through and save the day with that. Couple things. I like the fact that they have these bending abilities, but these bending abilities are within a certain realm, which is why I kind of have a mixed feeling with Zahir's new abilities. I did hear that they would try to go full Dragon Ball Z, but if you go full Dragon Ball Z, there's just no, I don't know, there doesn't feel like there is the connection in a way. Like, I can totally get what it feels like to have a rock thrown at you. I know what it feels like to have water thrown at you. You know what it feels like to be burned, or to not be able to breathe right. You know, those are all very relatable elements. When it comes to flying, it's like, all right, visually it's amazing to look at, but what is the limit? You know, I always felt like airbending, sorry, not airbending, but the Avatar concept of the world was always so cool because people weren't just things weren't just like flying. They couldn't just throw a shield up and block things from happening. You know, when Bolin is actively trying to save them from the lava, he's having to do the move. He has to do the whatever the rock bending move that causes the rock to come up. He has to do that move like 10 times. It's not like he does a really big one and it's a really big rock that comes out of there and then saves the day. You can actively see them like having to work at each one of the bending each one of these elements. It's not easy exactly, you know, when they're doing when Aang in the last Avatar was facing some of his biggest foes, you know, he's doing all these fucking moves, but at the same time he was having to defend himself using, you know, maybe air bending or something like that, or you know, having a rock come up like that. You know, what I'm saying is the realm of plausibility and understanding. It's like, okay, you can see clearly that the rock came from underneath that character, and is blocking them, and is blocking them from being attacked from something else. But that doesn't mean that piece of earth that they moved is going to stay there forever. Like, it means it's continuous elements always coming at you. And so the thing I do like about them constantly having to show that it's not like Dragon Ball Z in a way where, you know, they just throw balls at each other, little. I know people are gonna spaz on me for all this, but I don't understand. I haven't watched it. I don't understand. Where the energy is coming from in Dragon Ball Z versus where I can understand where elements are coming from, or that they are, bending elements in a way. Energy just seems to come out of nowhere in Dragon Ball Z. Korra feels like, at least, they are grabbing a rock off the ground and throwing it. It's not like they're just forming stuff right out of thin air. So anyways, that's my short form of saying they are walking the fine line of it making still leaving it grounded. Even the fact that Zahir can fly, it's you can barely believe that you still believe it just a little bit. Given he's an airbender, it makes sense why airbenders should be able to fly. Aang essentially could fly with his glider. But anyways, okay, so Bolin's newfound lava bending skills save the day for them. Meanwhile, Lin, Suyin, and her metal benders fight Pai Li. Suyin breaks the deadlock by killing Pai Li with the contained force of her own combustion bending. I was so surprised. Once again, I think this was actually a cut scene. Lin and Beifong, Lin Beifong and Suyin, Lin and Beifong, they're the same person. Lin and Suyin are fighting Pai Li, and she has this, the combustion eye, just like Combustion Man and Airbender, fucking absolute badass, and she's doing it from way up in a big ass blimp looking thing. She's down fighting Lin and whatnot, and then they throw this fucking looks like a piece of metal or something like that, and hits her directly. It's either in the back or the front of the head. I don't remember exactly. It hits her in the fucking head, but apparently that hit fucking kills her. Fucking kills her. And that's Zahir's girl. So he just casually says at the end of I think at the beginning of the next episode, he's like, yeah, casually Lee's dead and she's sacrificed, for the quote unquote greater good. It's like, God dang, you fucking merciless. And so that's two, I'd say, major characters, not protagonists, but they're still major characters that were taken off the board in pretty crazy ways. So Zahir fights Korra and Tonrock, who is thrown off a cliff but saved by the metal bending captain Kariva. Have we met Kariva? She seems like this new character that they're trying to like introduce. Zelda Williams plays the voice of that. I don't really know who that is. But she's just like, "Hi, I'm Kariva." Oh, she is the daughter of late actor and comedian Robin Williams. Oh wow. Oh wow. I can kind of see it a little bit. I guess that's why they were giving her a little bit of time on screen time. Zahir escapes with unconscious Korra using his newfound ability to fly. So yeah, that's where he just straight up escapes. I had been a little bit, not spoiled, but I had heard that people were talking about, yeah, somebody's going to be able to fly at the end of this. And I was like, eh. And after watching it, it's like, yeah, it probably makes sense because he's always talking about the guru. I forgot which guru he's talking about. Guru. You'll know. I'll let y'all do the details on that. I can't find that. He's talking about a guru or something like that. Talking about basically letting go of anything, all things that he cares about. I guess. I don't know. Basically achieving nirvana in a way. I'm still trying to kind of figure out what was going on. Henry Rollins is the voice of that. Zahir, actually. I wasn't quite sure about that. I really like his voice. So, who else do we got? Okay, so chapter 13. Let's do this real quick. The Red Lotus tortures a chained Korra by poisoning her with mercury in order to force her to the point of death, triggering the Avatar state before they kill her, which would end the cycle of the Avatar's rebirth. However, a wrathful Korra overpowers her captors and fights Zahir in the skies. Meanwhile, her friends find and rescue the airbenders. After Mako electrocutes Ming Hu, he and Bolin narrowly escape Gazan's collapsing the Red Lotus's lair on top of himself. As Korra is about to succumb to the poison, Jinora leads the airbenders to pull Zahir out of the sky with a massive air vortex formed from the combined bending. Zahir is captured and Suyin metal bends the poison out of Korra. 2 weeks later in Republic City, a weakened, wheelchair-bound Korra watches as Tenzin anoints Jinora as airbending master and rededicates the air nomads to a nomadic life of service to the world, following Korra's example. And so that does it for season 3 of Korra. No, I'm just kidding. We gotta talk about this last episode. Korra fucking goes ham. I'm like, you must be out of your freaking mind if you are going to chain up the Avatar and just throw some metal on her. Like, what do you think this is? Like, she's the freaking Avatar. She is going to go ham, and she absolutely did. I was so ready for her to just... I mean, she goes full on like Uncle Iroh with the flaming voice, dragon fire from the throat. It's just like, and then she's when they start to go into like full, when she starts just getting crazy and whatnot after they give her the whole thing of. So the way to kill the Avatar is you need to put her in the Avatar state. Like, this sounds like the dumbest idea. I mean, I understood kind of where they were coming from. They're like, okay, we don't want kings, queens. We don't want people ruling over us. People should rule themselves. Okay, I understand what they're talking about. But when they're like, all right, and then we have to kill the Avatar by putting her in the Avatar state? Are you kidding me? It's like, okay, so we need to make her the most powerful she can be. And then we can kill her. That did not seem to make sense to me, in my opinion. But it's like, okay, whatever you gotta say to get her in the state. there were some looks that Korra was giving, like some looks that she's just trying to hold herself back from going into the Avatar state. It's like the most profound looks. It's just like, oh my goodness. But yeah, she goes ham, goes full fucking Tony Stark, has like fire coming from her feet, like, like, we'll see you later, see you next time. I was like, Zahir is about to get bucked up. He's kind of badass, and he has good evasive moves. He's a good airbender when it comes to the fighting, but when it comes to, like, I don't know, fighting like a Avatar, I don't think that he can do it. And so, yeah, eventually, they bring Zahir down. I knew the entire time Korra was going around with that chain that she was gonna throw it up there and wrap it around him. I was like, this is too obvious. Um, and yeah, it was a tad cheesy bringing Zahir out of the sky, but it was cool seeing the airbenders all work together. I was curious if they were ever going to come back into the story and do anything. Um, I was surprised the magnets didn't come back with the Metal City kind of stuff. I feel like they were talking about, was it not Ton Rock, but Varric was talking about uh, magnets possibly helping or something like that, but I think he was just bullshitting. Um, yeah, what a fucking season. I really liked the Asami Korra aspects of this season. I thought they really knocked it out of the park. Mako and Bolin. Mako's kind of been put onto the back burner a little bit. He's having to be awkward and shit like that, kind of unnatural because he dated both Korra and Asami, and he's just trying to find his way a little bit. He's not nearly as interesting as he was in the first season. I've really flipped on PJ Byrne and Mako's character. Like, Bolin, I like Bolin a lot better, and I think most people do, just because his comedic timing just works. Lin Beifong and Su Yin, obviously phenomenal. Really loved watching and learning about their stories. Definitely need to continue with that. Tenzin, learning how to be a better leader. Absolutely, he needs to do that. What do we got? Asami, like I said, Asami and Korra have some amazing scenes throughout this. Even at the beginning, just fucking works. Jinora, the reveal of Jinora at the end, it's like, oh my gosh, are we watching the Avatar anymore? Or are we watching Korra or the Avatar anymore? It's like, holy shit. And let's see how long that lasts. Let's see. Because they went full non-binary. I was like, whoa. And Kai. I didn't know Kai was considered a main character, but I guess we do needed a kind of a shit character that needed to be kind of put through hell so that we could care about him at the end. He still was a little bit annoying, although I did get kind of just like a anti Aang when I kind of watched him, but I still thought he was an interesting character to bring into the fold, and I thought he was actually going down several times too. The way they use comedy in this season, I thought worked so well. With the exception of maybe at the very end, tad cringy here and there. But when there's super dramatic beats, when the Earth Queen was dying and stuff like that, they still had time to put a 10-second joke just to kind of relieve the pressure. I was very impressed with the way that they were able to overall handle this season. For next season, I have no idea how they're going to handle it. I mean, wheelchair-bound Korra at the end is crying, watching Jinora become like airbending master, got the tattoos and everything. I was just like, this is kind of like the end of season 1 in a way, where she had that single tear, except she had lost her bending abilities at that point, but now she's just weak to my knowledge. So it's going to be interesting to see her journey back and see how she progresses after this, given that she's faced, she saw all of the previous antagonists when she was being tortured, and so that, it's a pretty good roundup, to be honest. If they really wanted this to be the last season, it definitely could be if they wanted to, but I see this 4th season. I hear that it's just as good as the other ones. That 2's probably on the lower tier, but 4, 1, 3, 4, apparently those really hit. And so I'm excited to start season 4. Let me know what you thought about the podcast. Let me know how I can improve. I am just soft releasing patreon.com/LuckyDog Podcast. It's a Patreon with 3 separate tiers. First tier, you are going to get, for $3 a month, you are going to get weekly stuff on all the tiers are going to be released. But first tier is reviews of movies over 5 years old. Second tier is reviewing all of those retro review movies, and we're going to review animated television shows as well. Think of stuff like Korra. If you like this, you'll probably like. We're going to talk about, do you remember classics such as like SpongeBob, such as Yu-Gi-Oh, such as Avatar: The Last Airbender, stuff just like this, classics. And then you'll have access to the main podcast stream also, that is on the second tier, and those are early releases as well. And then the third tier is the all access LuckyDog VIP special. You get everything early. You get the retro reviews. You get the animated reviews. You get the entire library as well. So that is $10 a month. So it's $3, $5, and $10. So you choose how you want to help support the LuckyDog Podcast. Anything. If you don't even have any money to support, that's totally cool. You can PayPal it $1 or $2 if you can't do that. 5 stars on iTunes. Subscribe on YouTube. Watch live on Twitch. Catch these podcasts early in your podcast way of preference, whatever you want to do. So thank you for listening, watching LuckyDog Podcast. And just like that, Appa yip yip.